On today's Locked On Texan podcast, the YouTube comments, of course, the 1,000 subscriber YouTube comments. We also hear from another NFL hopeful prospect. And why does draft season make people completely lose their minds? But first, Cody, on this Good Friday, start the countdown.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily Houston Texans podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to a Friday edition of the Locked On Texan podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm John Hickman, joined by Cody Montel Davis. This is how we do it. And before we talk about the Houston Texans, Cody, I want you guys to be prepared because in 3 days, you're going to hear the same sermon Baptist churches have been preaching for 300 years. But he got up and he rose on the third day.
Hey, it's the truth, man. It's the truth.
It's the truth. But welcome into this Good Friday edition of the Locked On Texan podcast. Kind of wanted to open up with some fun. Today is Good Friday. Hopefully you guys have an opportunity to enjoy your family. I hope that you're off, unlike some of us. However, let's dive into the YouTube comments. And I think one of the most absurd comments that I may have read since we started this segment, Cody, is from Mike Smith. And Mike, I hope you're watching. Dude, this is in regards to the Kayvon Thibodeau is still the best prospect or not episode that you did, with Brandon K. Scott.
Would be Scott.
He said, dude never lived up to the number one recruit moniker. Why in the hell would you draft him first overall? He played like a third or fourth rounder and screams bust in the first round. I'm flabbergasted. Look, I think that in regards to Thibodeau, and I'll save a little bit for the rest of the show, but I think, Cody, people really don't understand that football is not one-dimensional for players anymore. And they always scream players don't love football, or even in just any athlete. They don't love the sport. They don't love the game. They don't take it serious because of other interests. But to read that he's not a first-round talent, when you have players like some of y'all favorite prospect, and I'll be okay with saying this, in his collegiate career, if we compare the two, Thibodeau would be a first-round talent in damn near any draft class, not like Malik Willis. Malik Willis wouldn't be a first-round talent. Kenny Pickett wouldn't be a first-round talent. Some of these quarterbacks that you guys have been oozing over wouldn't be first-round talents, but a Thibodeau would be a first-round talent in last year's draft class, next year's draft class, the year after that, the 3 years before this draft. So let's pause on that he's not a first-round draft talent. That is ridiculous, insane. Cody, I know you may have some thoughts. Please help me out.
I can't say much. It's a crazy comment, and the conversation surrounding whether or not Thibodeau should still be picked within the top 3 is due to the quote-unquote character issues that some teams see, and it's only because they are wondering, is he going to fully commit himself into getting better? And John, I 100% agree with you, because it seems like every time an athlete is trying to fight this stigma that he doesn't love that particular sport, it's only due to the fact that they are just 100% just talented in the sport. And the negative stereotype of Thibodeau not liking the sport and not giving it his all in practice sort of reminds me a little bit, if I could just switch over to another league, Anthony Edwards.
Yes, he
was going into I think it was the 2020, if I'm not mistaken, NBA draft. He was by far the best prospect. And
last year.
Yeah, last year. So, he was by far the best prospects, and NBA teams was like, I don't know, his stock is falling, and I don't know if he's going to be 100% committed, and he seems like a guy who loves the spotlight too much. What has Anthony Edwards done since then? He
Ball
has
out.
been one of the best talents that the NBA has to offer, and he just led the Minnesota Timberwolves to the playoffs for only the second time since the post Kevin Garnett era ended in 2007. So I say all that just to say, Kevon Thibodeau is by far a first round pick. His stock isn't falling all the way to the third round. If anything, he is still going to be a top 10, top 15 pick if his stock falls that low. And I still don't think that is going to happen.
Yeah, some of these. I saw another comment, but I didn't want to dive into that one. Philip Busby. This is the first time that I've actually seen him comment. So shout out to Philip. Defense at 3 point blank, period. And I wanted to mention this comment because on yesterday's show, we talked about where the Houston Texans may rank different positions in terms of what they think is more of a priority than others. And I think that, Cody, you and I can agree that defense at 3 makes sense.
Yep, 100%.
And I also wanted to go ahead and get into another comment. It just passed me up, but I do remember a comment that said, I wouldn't be surprised if Lovie Smith and Nick Caserio took both Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley. I think that's too good to be true. I don't think both of those players will be Houston Texans, but for the sake of an argument or just discussion, Cody, how would you feel
I never thought about that.
at 3 and 13?
But it is possible, though, if you think about it. That would be second best scenario to me. I think first scenario would be the Texans come away with both Kevon Thibodeau and or Stingley and Sauce, whoever is there at 13. Remember, we just talked about that on yesterday. But knowing how much you and I have been covering this team, again, we're going into our third, fourth season covering this team, and this secondary has been terrible. I would not be mad if they come away with Sauce and Stingley.
X-Facts. Texans just lost Justin Reed. Free safety is the main need for this team right now. I will go ahead and play it safe and draft Kyle Hamilton, third overall. With the 13th pick, I will go get that offensive tackle from Mississippi State. This was also on the stock falling. Is Kayvon Thibodeau still the best prospect? Do you think that free safety is the main need? Because there was a good back and forth with Sarah McCoy, who comments on the show frequently. Shout out to Sarah. She said free safety is the main need for the team right now? Question mark. Are you serious? The Texans finished 32nd in the NFL in rushing last season, and their QBs were sacked 44 times. Sounds like offensive line is a bigger need than free safety. Kyle Hamilton is way too slow to play free safety, which that narrative right there, because of a 40 time, I hate that as well. But she continues with, he does not have the foot speed. He takes bad tackle angles and misses on a lot of tackles. Check out the video from 2021 college football season. At best, Hammy, she called him Hammy, but I'm sure she meant to say Hamilton or nicknaming him Hammy, might be able to play weak side linebacker. Jaquan Brisker of Penn State and Jalen Petrie of Baylor are safeties, and they can be had in the second round.
Sound like we need to get Sarah on the show.
We may need to get Sarah on the show. And by the way, I think Jalen Petrie would be a great pickup.
Yeah,
Phenomenal pickup. I'll just say that as well. But free safety at 3 with Kyle Hamilton?
I mean, I'm not going to say I don't see it, only because prior to his pro day, and John, I'm not going to lie, I'm one of the people you do not like. Kind of fell victim in looking at that 40 time. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not too good. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. And Hamilton's stock has fallen a lot. If he's there at 13, John, will you be okay? Let's say if they went Sauce and then turned around and got Hamilton, or Stingley and Hamilton, or Kevon in Hamilton.
You know, I, here's my thing. I think that we got to be prepared to get our hearts broke, right? Because what we may feel like is a priority for Houston may not be a priority for Houston with they in their eyes, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think it does depend on where they rank the other positions. And at 13, if you have a chance to get a Jermaine Johnson, if you have a chance to get one of those top tier offensive linemen, because I've been gushing over this player for a couple of months now. If Zion Johnson is available at 13, I would take him, right? Because later in the draft, you can go ahead and get your John Mechie. You can go get your receiver at the second round. Then, you can address other positions. So I'm not necessarily big on 13 using that for safety. However, Houston may be big, and we may just sit there and get our hearts broken. Cody, are you a betting man?
No, because I don't like losing my money like that.
You don't like losing money, but sometimes certain bets are worth taking. And right now, the NFL released, well, Bet Online, excuse me, released their NFL Coach of the Year possibilities. And right now, your Lovey Smith has a 40-1 chance to win that award. Would you take that bet?
I think I would.
You'll take that bet. You'll go ahead and place a little extra cash that you got laying
Mm-hmm.
around on there with the possibility at the end of the year it paying off. The best odds right now is Josh McDaniels, 12-1. He opens up
Mm.
as the favorite. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your sport betting needs and sports information. Find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the MLB season. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action because BetOnline is where the game starts.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with this Friday installment of Locked On Texans, and as promised, we have NFL draft prospect Mr. Jaylin Thomas, linebacker from Ball State University. Jalen, what's going on, man?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. First and foremost, like always, welcome to Locked On Texans, and I'm so excited to have an opportunity to talk to another NFL prospect. And Jalen, before we get started, man, I gotta ask you this because, like you, and like millions of kids around the world, I grew up wanting to be a professional athlete, dreaming of playing in the NFL, dreaming of playing in the NBA. But of course, with me being on the other side of this computer screen right now, my athletic career did not go as far. But as somebody who is basically about to have his NFL dream realized, literally in the next 2 weeks, how has this entire draft process been for you?
It's been it's been a blessing. A lot of kids don't get this. A lot of people don't get this opportunity. So
Mm-hmm.
I've just been trying to fulfill this whole opportunity and just accept it for what it is, and I'm forever grateful. It's been a you know a, a pleasing journey. I love every moment of it because it's preparing for something I love doing, which is football. So it's been a blessing. It's been one ride that I've had a wonderful time, being a part of.
Awesome, awesome. And really quick before moving on, you played five seasons at Ball State, correct?
Correct.
Five seasons at
Yeah.
Ball State. You also had an opportunity to go through your pro day, had an opportunity to just talk to different teams. What has been your favorite part about this whole entire draft process?
It's just been really just dialing in on my body and being able to take care of my body. Over those 5 years, you take a little, your body take a little beating, but just to slow things down and just to focus really on your body and getting your body ready for camp in the near future. So
Mm.
uh, it's been pretty a fun experience. Really just being able, just focus on me personally, and just making sure I'm intact and ready for what's coming in the near future.
Hmm. I know over the last couple of weeks you have probably been on a lot of interviews talking to different teams, trying to show teams who you are, especially as a linebacker. And I noticed something about you watching film, looking at your numbers. You actually have an important quality about your game as a linebacker that a lot of teams like the Houston Texans, who run a Tampa 2 defense, like to see in their linebackers, and that's their ability to drop down and actually play coverage. And last year, you recorded a career high 4 interceptions as a linebacker. So, Jaylen, can you just explain to me and the listeners and the viewers what are some of the intangibles that go into being a versatile linebacker who can actually excel in pass coverage?
Yes, well, it starts in the film room. Us as a team, we took the film room really serious as a defense. And, it just put me in, a lot of positions to be able to make those plays. It start, in the film room at the beginning of the week. Just emphasizing those things throughout the week. Of preparation and bringing it to the game. It just those plays just came. Just based off truly solely off film study and the
Mm-hmm.
preparation throughout the week and practice. So.
Hmm. You talk about your preparation, you're talking about getting ready for these type of games, especially given your ability to excel in pass coverage. Jalen, as someone who succeeded on the collegiate level, now you're about to transfer over into the NFL level. um, what are some of the things you are starting to notice about, let's say, your worth ethic that already been very good and already has been proven to be successful on the collegiate level, but what are some of the things that you are starting to notice that you can actually tweak in order to experience the same level of success or surpass the level of success in the NFL?
Um, well, my work ethic, it's always been where it's at. Starting out before pro day, I was training down in Houston, and shout out to Derek Blaylock and Courtney Brooks for a wonderful experience training for pro day and giving me the opportunity, to perform to the best of my ability at pro day. So a big shout out to them. But now, I'm back in home in Lima, Ohio. Just to be back home, just to get the whole home atmosphere. I'm surrounded by a lot of people that support me in the Lima area. They allowed me to use their facilities, to be, the best I could be, to be able to train like a professional. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing that that's been a bit of a difference. Training like professional, focusing on mobility. Mobility is key. Your hips, just there's so much more, detailed things, that goes into your lifts. And huge shout out to Harry Gilbert, one of my ex uh, strength and conditioning coaches. He put together some nice um, workouts for me, to stay ready and to stay to stay ready for the near future, which is camp coming right around the corner. So they put together. My support system is major for me. They allow me to do a lot of things. Just to be ready for what's coming in the near future. So yeah, it's been fun being back home. Definitely, just to get that home vibe. Just to work under those some of those people. That was in my corner back in high school, which was
Hmm.
it felt like so long ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. But just those people, that's continue to be in my corner. It means a lot. They're in my corner, and I'm working this hard for them. Just it's been a fun experience, and I'm forever grateful for those people. Who continue to make sure I'm able to be successful.
Mm. You talk about the people in your corner, and I can only imagine since 2017 when you began your college career, your head coach Mike New. What has he been for your career, and what is it about Coach New that actually gave you the opportunity, gave you the chance to say, you know what, I think I'm ready to go and take my football game to the NFL level.
Yeah, Coach New is a great guy, man. He took a chance on me, and I'm forever grateful for him. Going into my senior year of high school, I didn't have any college offers or anything, and it's just
Hmm.
he was my second, my second offer. My first offer was from Indiana State, and I just remember, getting that first offer was a great feeling. And Indiana State didn't have exactly what I wanted to go to college for, and Coach New came, or Coach Doherty. I met Coach Doherty. He's a special teams coordinator, tight ends coach over at Duke now. Congrats to
Mm-hmm.
him. But he came and he talked to me for the first time, over at Lyman Senior. I'm a guy, I'm going to after my senior year, finally getting interest from college teams. It meant a lot. But the moment I met Coach New and Coach Doherty, I just got the family vibe from them, and it's been that uh, since I've been there in 2016, and it never changed. They always wish the best for me, hope the best for me. Put me in a position to be as successful as I was over at Ball State. So I can't thank them enough.
I couldn't help but notice in the midst of all this, you said you didn't have too many college offers coming out of high school, correct?
Correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was a bit underlooked. It's something that I use to always drive me. It was more of a driver than anything. It put me in a position I'm in today.
Yeah, and with that, that's what I was about to get to next. Here we are, like I mentioned, 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. You're gonna hear your name called. Well, the fact that you go back to your senior year in high school, you didn't get a lot of offers, and now here you are about to achieve a goal that, like I mentioned, millions of kids dream of, and that's being a professional athlete, especially playing in the NFL. Will that make that moment just a little bit more, knowing that in high school you was overlooked and now you have an NFL team calling your name, wanting to take a chance on you?
Yeah, 100%, man. I just take pride, so much pride in being, a small kid from Lima, Ohio. A lot of people don't
Mm-hmm.
know about Lima, Ohio, but there's a lot of people, a lot of talent in this city, and I just forever grateful to be able to spread hope, throughout this city. And that's one driver, that's one thing that drives me to this day. That's why it's so great to just to be back home. And I work out at a facility, like I said, Tim Loans over at Fast over here in Lima. Just to be in there and see some of those young kids and they're working out. Just remembering like I was that young kid not that long ago, and it was
Hmm.
it's been a a pleasing journey. And like you said, it's gonna mean the world to me and this and my family when my name get called. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And during that time, senior year of high school, when you wasn't getting a lot of scouts looking at you, getting ready for the college level, who are some of the people that actually help you keep your spirits up, that actually kept you motivated in order for you to get to where you are today?
Definitely, my dad. My dad and my both of my parents. 'Cause, my dad was a guy that he went to play over at University of Cincinnati, and
Hmm.
his career was cut just a little short. And, it was it he drove me so much to where I just wanted to live out one of his dreams through me, but he continued to drive me. But definitely I want to do it for myself, but for him just to be able to live out one of his dreams as well, it means a lot to me. But definitely my dad. A lot. I got a lot of supporters in line, but it's hard to just nitpick
Hmm.
so many of them. But there's a lot of guys that's in my corner. Like some of those guys, like Jeff Williams, I mentioned. He used to train me back in high school. Back in high school. On my come up days or whatnot. But it's so many people. It's hard to even just specifically pick one or a couple people. But my parents definitely, my siblings. Um, they were always in my corner. They always believed in me. Even some more than I believe in myself sometimes. But they always
Hmm.
kept me up and made sure my head was where it needed it to be. So yeah.
Hmm. Last question before getting out of here, Jalen. I've been asking all the prospects this question. I would love to hear what you have to say. Let's say NFL scout runs across Locked On Texans. They hear your interview. What
Mhm.
would be your final pitch to that scout to make them say, you know what, we're gonna take a chance on Jaylen Thomas, excuse me, in the next 2 weeks?
I would say, I'm a guy, that's extremely coachable. A guy that's, super competitive, that hates to lose. A guy that's truly experienced, at the linebacker level, as well as, on special teams. I've played a lot of special teams, and at the collegiate level. So I'm willing to do anything to get my way on the field, to be on the field, and to be a part of an organization. You're getting a guy that's truly dedicated, truly humble, throughout the process. And you're getting a guy that's a great teammate, that's capable of making friends with, pretty much anybody, a people's person. A guy that also, just truly love the process, love the game of football, just always have a smile on my face, at every moment of the day. So you're getting a guy that's really ready to go to work.
Hmm. Sounds good. Jaylen Thomas, linebacker from Ball State University, which is I love the name of that school, by the way, Ball State University. But Jaylen, really
Kirk.
quick, Jaylen, really quick, where can our listeners follow you at on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me at underscore Jaylin Thomas, JAYLIN dot or LIN Thomas, THLMAS underscore at the end on both Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome. Sounds good. Jaylen, once again, thank you so much for joining me here on Locked On Texans. Just so you know, if the Houston Texans do draft you, that means we're going to have two up-and-coming Jaylens in the city of Houston, because another team in Houston, I think you might know him. His name is Jalen Green. He plays for the Houston Rockets, ended his rookie season with 41 points. So I'm just saying it'd be cool if the Texans draft you, and we'll have two Jaylens here in the city of Houston to root for.
Exactly.
But man, I appreciate you so much. Good luck with everything, man, and I'll be rooting for you in the next 2 weeks, bro.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
That was Jaylin Thomas. Great interview and discussion. And of course, we wish the best for him on his next journey, moving to the NFL. Listen, some of y'all missing out right now. I'm going to tell you why you're missing out. You're missing out on Built Bars because they are providing variety of flavors, a healthier choice, and 100% real chocolate. That's like the holy trinity of treats, right? Like you got every flavor you want to choose from. It's not necessarily going to be bad for you at all. And who doesn't like chocolate? The best thing about Built Bar, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, so not a lot of that sugar, 4 net carbs, not a lot of that nasty net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually carries around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar. That's 10 times the amount of sugar, and a dozen of those net carbs. You can choose from flavors like mint brownie, coconut almond, and for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They are all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. If they think a flavor might be good, they'll make it. It will be delicious, and it will be good for you. Go to Build.com and use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Build.com. Thanks for making Locked On Texans your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NFL Draft. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker bring the NFL Draft to life every day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Really quick, I got to get this off my mind, Cody. I think that every year we come to a place where film and tape isn't good enough. Success and accolades aren't good enough. And we take narratives, whether that narrative be from an analyst who finds flaws in a person's game, whether that be on the field or off the field, or we get caught up in the T-shirt Olympics. And in this case, I am speaking directly to Kyle Hamilton and Kayvon Thibodeaux. Right now, both of those guys were great college football players. And we talked earlier in the show that that comment from Mike, third or fourth rounder, that just blows my mind to hear that, and to hear that Kyle Hamilton may slip out of the top 15 because of where did he run, a 4.5 or something along those lines, and whatever. To hear that, it seems like people every year they get caught up in a lot of the things that don't have to deal with football. And I mentioned that we are in a day and age where football isn't a one dynamic aspect for players anymore, right? Then it was football, 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 football. Now you can be an athlete, a football player, and you can also run a successful business on the side. You can also be a successful spokesperson. Excuse me. You can also do a lot of different things. But when people hear that a player may have outside interest or a 40 time may not be as fast as you like it, and all of a sudden he's not worth the pick, I think that's insane. And for me, we do this every draft season. I get it because what that does is that allows people to speak their mind on players that they feel shouldn't be worth that top 1 to 5, 5 to 10, top 15 pick. But then you boost up players that may not necessarily have shown uh, the field work that is needed, the film, and now you're overdrafting players instead of drafting what's smart and the best player available. I say all that to say this: Sauce Gardner is still number 3 for me for the Houston Texans because he is the best player available at 3. But Thibodeau and Kyle Hamilton, those are still great college football players that can be very great at the next level. Stop overthinking it.
You said all that just to say Sauce is still going to be number 3 in your book, which I 100% agree with that. But I'm not going to look at it as much like that, only because in the midst of all this, and this, you talking to somebody who got to cover not just the NFL draft, but in the next couple of weeks, I got to get ready to start covering the NBA draft as well for my Houston Rockets coverage. But both sports, and a little bit more so in the NBA, we just get too caught up in analytics a lot of times. And I think this is the bad in terms of draft stocks. That's when I think analytics actually hurt both of these leagues the most. Because look, John, and I actually pulled up Kyle Hamilton's 40 times just so we can make sure we're correct. This is a guy who ran a 4.59. That was the total. Of course, I'm around that to of course I'm rounding that up, but there is no way in hell you could take a look at the work that he did in college and still say to yourself, just because he ran a slow, which is pretty bad for a guy his position, just because he ran a terrible 40 doesn't make him worth a top 10 overall draft pick. When prior to that, everybody was talking about whether or not he's going to be taken in the top 5, and the same thing for Kevon Thibodeau. Now, I already gave you guys the best example of what came to my mind when we first talked about this. Anthony Edwards, he had the same stigma, and now look at him. He is quickly establishing himself as one of the best young talents in the NBA. And in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to be saying the same thing for Kevon Thibodeau as well.
Thank you guys for checking out today's show. Make sure you are subscribing to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube. And make sure you're also following us on Twitter at Locked On Texans. With the same fingers, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12 for whatever comes to my mind. But with the next couple of weeks coming up, it will be a lot of Texan talk. And I love going back and forth with new followers, old followers, all followers. We are all family and friends.
And as always, I'm your host, Cody Davis. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at CodyDavis_24. Once again, that's Cody, COTYDAVIS_24. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 weeks away, a little bit under 2 weeks away before the start of the NFL draft. John, it's going to be fun. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.